This is the Nexigo Aurora Lite. It's a 4K ultra short throw laser projector, but is it worth it? Size-wise, this will sit somewhere between the 4-movie theatre and the AWOL Vision 3000 Pro. All of the collections are on the back and there's 3 HDMI 2.1 ports and one of those supports eARC. There's also a couple of audio ports and a LAN connection, but I think this thing looks really good. There's also an adjustable dial so that you can adjust the feet at the front, which again is a nice touch, and this one does come with an intuitive remote control which can be Bluetooth or infrared. Nice touch. As you can see from the spec sheet on both of these projectors, there is literally just that one difference. Lumens 1900 on the new Lite and 2400 on the Pro. So really, we need to start right there and decide whether 2400 lumens is worth the extra. The operating system is pretty basic, it's based on Android, and you can install apps, but it's a little bit of a faff, so I definitely just recommend plugging a Fire Stick or something like an Apple TV in. You have got keystone correction, so you can drag the corners of the screen to fit your screen or to make the image straight, and that obviously is a nice touch, and there's 4 and 8-point versions of that. But you don't have things like auto screen detection or anything like that. Okay, so we spent a lot of time testing this projector and trying to get it set up to its absolute best configuration. And when we were finished, certainly in ambient light, fairly dark rooms, you're going to get a picture which you're going to be completely satisfied with. And when I say satisfied, I mean more than satisfied. It's an excellent picture. And so therefore, if you've got anything in this similar light condition, then this projector is going to be perfect for you. There's plenty of lights on in this room and it's still delivering a brilliant picture. So this projector is perfectly fine for light and ambient light conditions if the content is bright enough. Where it has a problem is dealing with those really dark scenes and when it's a brighter room. Now there are things that you can do within the settings screen. You've got plenty of controls with this projector to introduce more light. You do have to be careful because it's a little bit like a balance between introducing light, but then you'll lose things like dynamic range and the contrast will also suffer. I'm going to show you a picture in a second of 2 side-by-side images, one where I've not really touched it, I've only changed a couple of things, and the other where I've tried to introduce as much light as possible. So this is an example of where I've tried to introduce the maximum amount of brightness to the image on the right, and we've lost a lot of dynamic range. Sure, you've got a little bit more detail in the shadows, but the overall picture is a little bit more grainy, there's more noise, and it's definitely been more compressed, and so therefore it just doesn't look as good. When it came to focus, the focus on this projector again is pretty good as it was on the last model. All 4 corners look pretty good. There is some loss, it's not the sharpest projector I've seen, but it's pretty good. Screen uniformity on this projector is perfectly adequate. There's no problems there at all. You did find some loss within the separation of the brightest levels here and also the darkest levels, but again that is to be expected with a projector in this price range. Where the operating system lacks, the menu system certainly doesn't, and you've got plenty of controls to hopefully get the best possible picture settings to your taste, and you can change those to your heart's content. It really is excellent. The noise level of this projector, it's not the quietest, but it's certainly not the most loud that we've tested. We were getting a room reading of around 27 to 28 before turning it on. It pinked to around 60 when it came on, and then it settled down to around 38 after it was all running and the fan noise was consistent. After measuring the picture, we found that it just leant slightly towards the reds, and so therefore we did dial that back by a couple of notches, but after that we were really pleased with the accuracy that this gave. It was a well-balanced, not oversaturated image, which delivered well on all colour fronts. So assuming that you have got some form of controlled lighting, you're going to be absolutely blown away with the picture on this projector. The contrast is exceptional, and so is the peak brightness. It really is stunning. I don't think that there's really that much difference between this and a number of other higher end projectors out there. And even when the blind was open and it was during the day, we're still getting this type of imagery, and the skin tones and any SDR content is also fantastic. The brighter the room gets, obviously the image does deteriorate a little bit, but I am being super pecky, guys. I'm trying to find the differences between the 1900 lumens and the 2400 lumens from the Pro. And so therefore I really think that if you're watching just random content on your projector, playing games and that type of thing, then this is going to be perfectly bright enough. Remember, the 4-movie theatre is only 1900 lumens, which is the same as this, so there isn't much difference between that. But when you do get to a really dark environment, that's when it absolutely pops off the screen and it looks incredibly good. Now for you gamers out there, you're going to love this projector too, because it's got super fast input lag. At 1080p at 60Hz I was getting 18 milliseconds, but it will go down as fast as 8 milliseconds. This does support 4K at 120Hz input, and it delivers an output of 4K at 60Hz. It will support 1080p in 60, 120 and 240Hz. So if you are playing those super fast games where you need those instant reactions, well then this could be the projector for you. But I have to say, if you haven't tried playing a game like this on a big screen, then you really need to, because it is absolutely fantastic. So depending on whatever games you play, do bear in mind that if you're playing lots of darker games and the room environment is not dark, then you might want to go for the Aurora Pro to get the extra brightness. With speakers totaling 60 watts, this is probably as good as you're going to get from a projector. But as I always say, I definitely recommend a separate sound system or a soundbar. Some of my friends will recap on some of those specs in a second, but in summary, I think that if you're using this for everyday use and you've got a light-controlled environment, well then this is going to be absolutely perfect for you. There is no issue at all. However, if more of your content is normally darker or you've got less of a light-controlled environment, then I would probably go for the Pro and get the extra, but I definitely think that this represents very good value. And it's a pretty impressive machine. The last year's the Aurora Pro is impressive, and believe me folks, this is equally as impressive and one that I can easily recommend.